we're over a week away from the NFL draft, so I feel like I have to talk about the first 32 picks and who I think which team is going to go with who and who is going to be taken off the board. Um, Started to rain really rough out there, but it is what it is. First up, number one pick, it's the Raiders. I mean, this is a very obvious one, really unquestionable. It's got to be Fernando Mendoza. I mean, national champion, winning quarterback, Heisman winner, showed the most grit and toughness out of all the quarterbacks in this draft class, and it's just clear, textbook, number one pick. And if he doesn't get drafted by the Raiders, then the draft is going to be in flames. But Raiders are going to go through with Mendoza, but don't expect him to, don't expect him, man. Don't expect him to start right away. They're going to have Kirk Cousins start in front of him. Unless they're basically doing what... Okay, bro. All right. Yeah, I'm fucked. As I was saying, Raiders aren't going to start him right away unless Kirk Cousins gets injured in the first week of the season and they have to send him out there. So, I think they're going to develop him. They're going to get him introduced to the new system. And yeah, Raiders are going to go Fernando Mendoza. And then the Jets, I believe they're going to take Arvell Reese. This has been a favorable position by the two. They need defense. They need defense. They need anybody on this team at this point. But they're going to go defense, and they're going to go Arvell Reese. Unless they don't take Arvell Reese, it's going to be any other defensive player. Now, who would that be? Caleb Downs, Ruben Bain, David Bailey. I've said his name already. But Caleb Downs. There's other defensive guys they could choose from. But I think more than likely the answer will be Arvell Reese. Just have to take somebody on defense. And if not, and if they take Ty Simpson at 2, that would be the most hilarious thing ever. But I don't think that's going to happen. Number 3, the Cardinals. This is a very interesting pick because this is a very possible landing spot for Ty Simpson. The most likely landing spot opposite the Jets. You were just saying it's been ramping up lately. How this would have to go is that Jacoby Brissett going to be the starter, but he's not going to be the long-term answer. And he's going to have to sit behind Jacoby Brissett in Arizona. Matt LaFleur is going to have to teach him up. Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator in the Sean McVay coaching tree. And if you've seen how well that has worked out for the coaches that worked alongside him, ending up being perennial head coaches, it works out pretty well. And so, it's not looking very good for the Cardinals right now, especially in the division that is the NFC West. But they can possibly get their future guy, kind of likewise to what the Chargers did with Justin Herbert. In the context, I'm saying they didn't start him right away, or they weren't going to start him right away until the freaking doctor punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung. But on this pick right here, they got to go defense. Simple as that. Jets are going to go Arvell Reese. They need a defensive player. They need a perennial defensive player. Now, whether that's Sonny Styles, whether that's Caleb Downs, they're going to go They're not going to go those guys. They're going to go defensive line. They're either going to go David Bailey or Ruben Jalen Carter 2.0 Bain. They're either going to go with one of those two guys. It's as simple as that. Whoever they pick, they just got to pick defense. Like, I don't think the Cardinals are going to take Ty Simpson here. They would have to have Trey Lance level type of faith in him. And I don't think they would pull that off at 3. I think they'll just trade up for him. Likewise to what the Giants did for Jackson Dart. And then we have the tight ends, and it's either going to be one of these two players, Jeremiah Love or Ruben Bain. I don't expect Ruben Bain to be picked in the top 3. But I do expect the Titans to take Jeremiah Love. This is a team who's got Tony Pollard, and you have the Saints getting Travis Etienne, and you got the Chiefs getting the Super Bowl winning running back. Does that seem like two teams that would get Jeremiah Love? No, it seems set in stone, and Jeremiah Love had a visit with the Titans. Sure, he had a visit with the Giants, I believe. Commanders are in the sweepstakes as well because Bill was not exactly worked out last year, but he was pretty good, even though the team overall was kind of terrible. But I believe wholeheartedly that the Titans are going to take Jeremiah Love, get their perennial running back, and then Titans later in the draft are definitely going to work on their wide receiver corps, of course. But on this pick right here, I believe they're going to take Jeremiah Love. Then we got the Giants here, and this is what I think is the most interesting pick of the draft. Is honestly, the Giants could go anywhere. They can go from, if Jeremiah Love is still available, they could take him. They could go wide receiver. Hell, they could go offensive line, and hell, they could go defense. And I was thinking it over, and I was thinking to myself, Giants are possibly a textbook. Shit. They're probably a textbook. They're probably a textbook landing spot for Caleb Downs because their secondary hasn't been really good. But then again, this is John Harbaugh, okay? Offensive minded. I mean, he could very well just go O-line, or they could possibly go Kenyon Sadiq because that guy's been getting huge praise. Top tight end in this year's draft, got a lot of praise again, of course. And, him and Likely, that would cook, but I don't think they would do that. I think they're either going to go O-line, wide receiver, if Jeremiah Love is still available, possibly him, or Caleb Downs. I think it's one of those 4 options. And if Jeremiah Love gets picked by the Titans, it's one of those 3 options. Now we got the Browns. Now I'm going off by the logic of all of these picks that they're going to stay in their picks, what they would do with him. And for the Browns, it's one or two positions. It's either going to be wide receiver or offensive line. Now, me personally, I'm leaning towards wide receivers. But after looking at the wide receiver class, I wouldn't be as mad as I was when we trade out that Travis Hunter pick initially. But I do think the Browns have to be careful with the idea of trading out because, I mean, if you can get a haul like you did for the Travis Hunter trade, then go for it, I guess. A team that I think could really trade up is the Rams for Mekhi Lemon. Him as a slot guy, the Rams would wreak havoc on the league, and Sean McVay knows it. Mekhi Lemon is the perfect slot receiver archetype, and he would work perfectly well with on-the-field Puka and Devontae Adams. He would work perfect there. So for a trade for the 6th pick, I do believe that the Rams are going to be a front runner for that. I saw a mock that said the Cowboys would trade up for Sonny Styles. I don't really think that way. I mean, they could need a perennial pass rusher, sure, in Sonny Styles, but it's like, I don't think they would pull the trigger on that. I really don't think it's because it's Jerry Jones. But then again, here's the thing. If they stay at this pick, I do believe wholeheartedly they're going to go 1 or 2 positions. I'll be absolutely floored and shocked if they go anywhere else than that. Then we got the Commanders. I think, listen, if we're going by the logic that Jeremiah Love didn't get picked by the Titans and then the Giants passed on him, I think if Jeremiah Love's still on the board, they'll take him. But I think the Commanders will be leaning towards either defense or offensive line. Like, hell, they could be a landing spot for Caleb Downs. I mean, Sonny Styles could go there. I mean, this is an aging team that last year fell flat because Jay Daniels, everybody got injured. I mean, Terry McLaurin was nowhere to be seen on the field, and his stats would prove that. And it's like it just wasn't a good year at all for the Commanders at all. Everything fell flat. Everything went terrible. It was just a catastrophe. And now they need to, I believe they're going to rework on their defense. Either that or they're going to take offensive line. It's going to be one of those two things. Then 8 is the Saints. This is the interesting thing. Saints might as well just go with defense. But if they really were dicey, if Kellen Moore really was that willing to look at the landscape of the NFC South and say, hey, we have a legitimate shot to win this division, why don't we take one of these wide receivers at 8? Like, I mean, I don't think guys like Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon would be available. I mean, George Heisen is possibly making a fall. I don't know if they would take wide receiver this early. But then again, this is the Saints who took Tyler Shugg, a pick that everybody was laughing at. And guess what? Shugg turned out to be a total stud. I will admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Shugg wholeheartedly, completely. I thought it was going to fall flat on its face, but no. He actually worked out well and got, I believe he got he didn't get Rookie of the Year. But he kind of definitely deserved it. The way that he had the Saints in the late season. And guys, this is a dark horse division winner that nobody's talking about. I mean, the Falcons are the Falcons. The Buccaneers are run by Todd Bowles. And then you got the Panthers, who I think, Panthers and Saints, legitimately. And I could possibly think that they'd be the top 2 teams in the NFC South wholeheartedly. With that being said, I really do think that the Saints are just going to go with their defense here. But it wouldn't be a crazy idea to go wide receiver there to pair with Chris Olave. Like, if Mekhi Lemon is still available and they take Mekhi Lemon, pair him with Chris Olave, whoo, Saints might be back. And then we got the Chiefs. And what I will say is they're going to go edge. And if Ruben Bain falls to him, I'm going to be so pissed. It'll feel like Jalen Carter to the Eagles again, but worse. I do think that they're going to go edge here. Listen, you need to rework on your defense. I know your offensive line was all screwed up. I mean, you had Jawan Taylor starting, but I mean, you could go for a wide receiver pick. Oh man, but I think Andy Reid likes a few guys that he'll take in day 2. But like, they need an edge. They just need one. Chris Jones isn't gonna cut it. He can't make the marquee big moments. Like last year, just watch what he does on the biggest plays of the game. It is absolutely a comedy tape, and it's top 3 that I've ever seen in my life. And what I will say about the Chiefs is this. Do not expect them to go wide receiver or offensive line. They're going to go edge. They're going to go who is the best edge available. Defensive line, interior defensive line. Anybody on the defensive line. I think they'll go defensive line. Then we got Bengals, and it's like, it's just defense, man. It's just a defensive player. Now this is, if Caleb Downs is available, he's going to go here. Sonny Styles possibly could go here. hell, the top defensive player. All right, the Bengals are taking him. I mean, the Bengals defense last year is a comedy. Then you had Joe Burrow die because his offensive line couldn't protect him. They'll work on their offensive line day 2. And now let me ask you this. Why the hell does Zach Taylor still have a job? I don't know. I really don't know. Then we got the Dolphins. And I mean, listen, their new head coach, Jeff Hafley, Packers defensive coordinator, he's defensive minded. But again, Malik got no receivers. And this team is in a very, very weird spot. It reminds me of the Jets from last year. We really didn't know what to make of them. We really didn't. But this is kind of worse than the Jets in a case because Malik's got no wide receivers. And the Dolphins literally traded Waddle to the Broncos. So, this is a team that I think is just going to, do the first 5 weeks of the season, see where they're at, and then they'll be like, if they're 0-5, if they're whatever, they're going to be like, yeah, we're pulling the plug on this team and we're tanking. And Malik Willis could sadly become the next Justin Fields. But I don't know, man. I really don't know what could possibly be. If they start off good, they could be like, hold on, we got a shot. If Jeff Hafley can be the leader that Mike McDaniel never was in Miami and wouldn't have locker room meetings, players-only meetings, and 5 weeks into the season, then this team could be something, but I'm not so sure. Jeff Hafley's defensive mind, but Malik got no wide receiver, so I don't. We'll see what they do. We'll really see what they do. I really have no idea. I think it's either going to be defense or wide receiver or offensive line. I don't know. We'll see. Then we got Cowboys. And, Sonny Styles is available. Let's take him. But I do think it's the same case with the Chiefs because I don't think Rashawn Gary is going to cut it or Kenny Clark. So I think they'll try to go edge or at least at the defensive side of the ball. They're not going to go secondary or anything. I don't think they would be stupid enough to do that. But I think they'll either go defensive line, linebacker, etc. Yeah. And then we got 13. If Mekhi Lemon is still somehow available, they'll take him. If not, they'll probably trade out. But yeah, man, I think this is Mekhi Lemon's landing spot. If the Rams trade up and take the Browns spot, won't be too crazy. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see what the Rams do. Possibly defense, possibly linebacker, maybe. Then 14, Ravens. This is another interesting pick, and I think it's going to be one of these 3 positions. It's going to be either offensive line, wide receiver, tight end. Any one of those positions, really, would work out in the favor of the Ravens. Offensive line because you lost Linderbaum. Wide receiver because if your wide receiver 1 is going to be fumble the ball a lot, save Flowers, it's not really going to cut it. Then you got tight end because you let Isaiah likely walk by. But I'm not sure they would take him. If Kenyon Sadiq is still available, I think they'll take him there. Kenyon Sadiq is still available. Ravens going to take him at 14. If not, they'll either go O-line or wide receiver. And then we got 15 Buccaneers, and this is a very interesting pick because they're stuck with their wide receiver core. Is Emeka Egbuka and Chris Godwin. Tez Johnson, don't look into how his past relationship went. But, I mean, they very well could go wide receiver here, but there's another important thing to know is that Lavonte David retired. He was a top player for the Buccaneers. Great player, and it's they could get their replacement here if the right player they want is available. And Todd Bowles, of course, defensive-minded. Not exactly the brightest of head coaches in the NFL, but still, he's a defensive-minded head coach, so I think they'll lean to defense and replace Lavonte Davis. 15, the Jets. This will be the Ty Simpson pick if he's still available, unless the Cardinals snipe them. But I think it'll be Ty Simpson or it'll just be offensive lineman. Really, I think it'll be either one of those two options. Depends on Ty Simpson's availability. Yeah. The Lions, I think they're either going to go or defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson can't do it all by himself. And the offensive line freaking imploded last season. Ragnow, I think, tried to come back, and then his bicep or whatever injury he had was all fucked up. And then it's either going to be or defensive line, but I'm leaning towards offensive line. Just depends on the availability that's there. And then number 18, the Vikings. I honestly think they'll go secondary here, honestly. Cornerback, safety. I think they'll go somewhere in the secondary. But Panthers, I mean, they've made amazing moves. And, if they pick a wide receiver, McMillan makes a jump. Bryce Young can start trying to get Wheeling to consistency, or at least do better than he did last season. Then, guys, if they do just that, this team is going to win the NFC South if they just do that. It's not even funny. Then we got the Cowboys. They're either going to go with secondary or offensive line, honestly. 21 Steelers, more than likely an O-lineman. So A-Rod doesn't get... so A-Rod just doesn't die. I really just think they'll take O-line, really. And Chargers, maybe they go offensive lineman because everybody died. Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, hopefully they stay healthy. Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator. Hopefully he can lock something in Herbert. Hopefully, maybe they'll get a receiver. I don't know. And then we got the Eagles. They'll just take the top Georgia defensive player. I mean, they love them guys. Or they could just take a Zachariah Branch for fuck's sake, because they traded away A.J. Brown. But no, who knows if he's getting traded or not. And then we got the Browns. If they take, I'm putting it like this: if they pick wide receiver at 6, they go O-line here. But if they took O-line at 6, they go wide receiver here. Or whatever the traded pick. I don't know. This shit, man. And then we got the Bears. I think it's going to be defensive line or secondary. They got to rework on their defense, especially with all the pieces that left. But hey, they got Devin Bush. Y'all got a dog, Bears. Y'all got a dog. Then we got the Bills. I mean, they need a wide receiver, but I think Brandon Beane will Brandon Beane, honestly. It wouldn't be too crazy to say that, honestly. But yeah, they kind of need to go wide receiver on here, especially after that Keon Coleman diss. Oh, my God. 27 49ers, I think Trent Williams' situation will be the decision on this pick. If Trent Williams just walks out, if Trent Williams doesn't work out, if they don't make amends, if they just straight up release him, they'll go all line here. If not, possibly wide receiver. And 28 Texans, they're going to go offensive line, dude. They have to go offensive line. 29, the Chiefs, they're going to get their McDuffie replacement here. I'm going to say that right now. 30, Dolphins, I think they'll go secondary on this pick. And 31, the Patriots. I mean, Vrabel, interesting guy at the moment. But I do think that they're going to go O-line here. I think they're going to take that Arizona State offensive line pick. That Mike Vrabel was working out with him during his pro day. So it's like, yeah, he's definitely going to make him a first-round pick right then and there. Then 32, the Seahawks. So you're going to be one or two things. They could take running back, or they could get a defensive player to make up for the missing pieces. Kobe Bryant went away. Tariq Woolen went away. A whole bunch of pieces went away after that Super Bowl win, because they need to pay JSN a God-tier contract that he wholeheartedly deserved. OHIU State is the best wide receiver university right now, and I don't want to hear it, LSU fans. I really don't want to hear it. You had Jefferson. You had Chase. You had Odell. Look, we have JSN. Ohio State's just better than LSU, honestly. But I do think I think Jariah Price can be a really intriguing name here. But yeah, we'll see. And that's who I think the first 32 picks will go out to. Getting pretty excited for the draft, and we're gonna see what happens all together. Yeah, that's it. Bye.